Okay, what the fuck? Questioned Kamalesh, looking around the Tactical Operations Center. What makes him think he can just fuck off and go against mission planning whenever the fuck he wants? She looked between her three mission planners, Captain Raynara, Glaive Captain Zeshi, and her mother. Zeshi smirked for a second before Raynara began to chuckle darkly. Oh, she replied after several seconds of laughter, before Callista raised a brow in her direction. Those girls want to know what hit them. Do we still have tracking up in his position? I want to grab some snacks and watch this. Trailed Kamalesh, looking in bewilderment to her mother, who was currently grinning malevolently at the captain. Why are you not taking this seriously? I am, Princess, Raynara answered with an evil smile, looking like she just released a herd of Grinshaw into the enemy camp. May I remind you that of the four of us here, I'm the only one that's ever fought at him directly before? Kamalesh's mouth snapped shut for a moment, as she tried to wrap her head around what the ex-deaf head officer turned militiawoman was saying. He was just one man. He couldn't do that much on his own. Certainly not without his armor. Kamalesh knew the abilities of Death's Head armor well. Hell, she had her own personal suit of it. Without it, she gave Adam 3, maybe 4 enemies, before he got himself killed in action. Adam's one of the best soldiers I've ever had the privilege of working with. If your niece's report is accurate, Princess, he's going to tear through that compound like a feral guntra on every combat drug you could feed it. My advice? Press the attack, draw fire from anyone who could respond to him, and keep your girls out of the way as best as possible. Are you absolutely sure about this? I mean, we could always task Drepna 1 to... Kamalesh was cut off suddenly by one of the field radio technicians shouting in joy and throwing her hands above her head exuberantly. Yes, get Suddenly the woman froze stock still and turned to face the other occupants of the room and winced, suddenly sucking in her breath through her clenched teeth as cringe contorted her features. Command, I've broken through the enemy communication encryption. We can now listen into and jam their communications. Fray it up, commanded Kamalesh, turning to the large display at the floor of the room. How the fuck did they get inside? One of the ducal guardswomen was screaming into the main unit channel. It's not them, responded another. It's just one guy. Where did he go? I can't see him. Nessa? Nesro, are you alright? The other guardswoman was answered, only with static. See? Asked Raynara with a chuckle. Get our exos, patrol pilots, and the wreck vehicles into play. Draw fire away from him. He can handle the rest. Turnek breathed out deeply once as he picked his helmet up from his lap and secured it on his head. The heads-up display rapidly clicked to life as he ran through his pre-flight checklist. Flippers and stabilization systems blue, weapons pods blue, engines coming back blue. Thoria 1, you read? Reading loud clear, my scaly friend. His bubbly podmate, a slim Shorvanti woman named Dretchi, responded over the line. All systems blue here as well. How many confirmed strikes on target to get you to buy me a red grain when this is all done? Thoria 1, I'd like to remind you that this is an open channel, and the Empress herself might be listening in, he replied with an audible sigh, before releasing the push to talk and chuckling to himself. Keep it up, big girl, and you'll get more than just a red grain, he whispered, with a small smile to himself. Relationships between Hellcam and Shorvanti weren't uncommon, but his parents didn't have the strongest fondness for the race of conquerors and imperialists, as they espoused behind closed doors. Not that it really mattered. They basically already disowned him after he dropped out of the legal academy and joined up with a patrol flight school. Ah, come on, just give me a number, she replied over the line. Fine, Thoria 1, I'll buy you a red grain for every confirmed strike on target, but it has to be confirmed in the AIR. Thoria 2, you got yourself a deal. Remind me to thank Papa after we get back. Actually, think you could do it for me? I'm gonna be sloshed. Dresh, he chided in a gentle tone. Official radio. Empress, secret operation, remember? Oh, I don't think she actually is. It's just another scare tactic by command to get us to behave, she replied with a dismissive chuckle. Actually, came a refined alto voice over the line, I am listening. Thoria 2, I will match your bet. Thoria 1, you can send the bill to my secretary after the night is finished. Stuttered Dresh, clearly unnerved that the Empress herself had heard her flirting. You're welcome, pilots. Now I've been informed that you'll be flying into airspace to perform need operations, followed by covering bombardments after airspace is secured. Make these seditious cunts fear the skies that devour. Yes, Empress, replied Dresh reverently. We will. Thoria 2 ready for dispatch, stated Turnick before chuckling to himself. The private channel between himself and Dresch clicked on audibly, showing a bubble with a picture of the woman smiling, and attempting to fit as much of her chest as possible into the frame. The pilot's helmet system allowed for them to custom code images for friendly closed radio chats, and as soon as he joined up with the patrol unit, she made absolutely sure her picture showed as much of her assets as Commander would allow. Accepting the private channel request, he sighed. Yes, Dresch? Holy fucking shit, I nearly just shat myself. That was... came the very intimidating voice of his fellow pilot. Sounds like the Empress just doubled your drink order, he chuckled. It's cute seeing you of all people get flustered, by the way. Shut up, she groaned into the mic, as her engines flared to life in front of him. You ready to get your claws out? Born ready. The line clicked off before the unit channel cracked to life. Thoria 1, ready for takeoff. Flaring VTOL. Thoria 2, ready for takeoff. Flaring VTOL. Happy hunting, you two. May Shul protect your flight. Blue light for engagement, follow your nav screens. Came the responding voice of the Empress, as the two slowly lifted off the ground, above the palace courtyard, and began their trek to the southwest of the city, slowly getting more speed as they went. The city beneath Tornek became a mottled purple blur as they rapidly approached and broke the sound barrier. His fighter bomber, a P-10 Guntra, was outdated by Imperial standards, first entering service nearly a century ago. When he first got assigned to patrol, they'd given him the worst ship in their arsenal, but he soon found the ship fit him quite well. Its heavy armor shell, capability to carry a payload of 20 air-to-ground missiles, 10 air-to-air missiles, and its most important feature, looked down upon by most of the Imperium, a 37mm tri-barreled heavy repeating railgun with armor-piercing explosive incendiary tracer rounds. The fact that the inertial pushback from firing the rounds would take the ship from faster than the speed of sound to just faster than an average commercial transport vehicle at highway speeds after 7 seconds of shooting was a little unnerving, but with the right pilot you could dole out the same destruction as an orbital bombardment in seconds. That being said, a severely over-armored ground attack craft struggled to do anything in the air with most pilots. The 4 X markings on his wing showed clearly that in the hands of Tornek, the craft was more than capable. All the pilot had to do was trust his armor, trust his maneuverability, and trust his big fucking gun. Thoria 2, Thoria 1, came Dresch's voice over the channel. Maintain 5 kilometers out, long circle holding pattern. I'll ascend and spot targets for strikes. Solid, Thoria 1. Call them in when ready. Jeski has it well in hand, he replied, slapping the dash of his ship affectionately as he said her name. Affirm, chuckled Dresch, as a VF-330 uplifter shot skyward at nearly a 90-degree angle. Lazily, he banked his to his left, beginning his long arc around the compound at just over 500 feet. Scanning the semi-barren landscape with his night vision and thermal combination, he occasionally passed a small herd of Tauroks. Suddenly, a massive fireball expanded into the air from the direction of the compound. Thoria 1, Thoria 2, what the hell just happened? He asked, preparing to dart into the fight regardless of AA. Friendly mortar scored a crit on the enemy rocket arty trucks. They're beginning their push into the compound now, pinging AA locations. 4 blocky red icons popped up in his vision, and he grinned maliciously under his helmet. Solid copy, going hunting. Gonna bouncy band around the compound, try to hit them all at once, he replied, as he jerked the stick to the right and back towards him. Now on a direct intercept course with the compound, he sped along the ground, several times low enough for his altimeter to beep annoyedly at him. I know, dear, I know, he said to his ship, as the compound crept ever closer to him. Low and fast is the name of the play today. Bear your lovely thanks for me, Jeski. When the first ping hit 1 kilometer from him, he grinned, and opened up with a rotary cannon, moving his head to change the targeting on it slightly, as he rated the battlement with Apit rounds, women-sized plumes of fire rocketing out from each hit, as he steadily worked on dismantling the AA positions and the women around them. Fuck yeah, girl, he shouted, as he flared his craft, dumping speed as he aggressively banked to his left, intent on hitting the opposing wall of the compound. The familiar feeling of blood trying to pull in his lower extremities, reminding him not to take the turn too steeply. Thoria 2, wave off! I repeat, wave off! Came a panicked Dresch over the radio. VTOL takeoff inside the compound. It's a fighter. Fucking what? He thought, as he banked hard the other direction, sending him off into the night northeast of the compound. How the fuck did they get a fighter? And how the fuck did we not notice it? Fuck! Shouted Dresch. Thoria 2, she's on your tail. Getting fast. Just then, the lock-on detector began beeping at him, sending a small red flash through the cockpit every second. Yes, dear, I know, he told his ship, banking left and turning his head, getting a clear look at the ship following him. Come here, you big bitch, shouted Dresh over their shared comms, diving in from the sky with a pod of rockets that careened towards the hostile fighter, before flares were dumped from the top and bottom, and the fighter pulled around. Got you now, nutlicker, he thought, as he pulled the stick hard, turning himself towards the enemy fighter, who was now in an upward climb, shooting lasers towards Dresh that lit up his night vision. Wing hit! Wing hit! Shouted Dresh, as a small plume of fire shot from her right wing and stabilizer, and she began to death spiral towards the ground. Losing flight control. The enemy craft shot by her, dumped speed, and began to bank to follow her towards the planet below, as she desperately tried to bank the craft out of the involuntary dive spiral she was now locked into. Sorry, Neki, she stated softly. Probably not going to get that drink with you at all. Make sure you have it for me. Thoria when ejecting. As she spoke, the other craft completed its spin, and began to launch a rocket barrage towards her falling fighter. Not a fucking chance, he yelled, and opened up with his main gun at the space between the two ships, in hopes of filling the space with where the missiles would fly with tungsten and high explosive. He dumped 3 seconds of rounds from 1,700 meters away, watching them arc through the sky as the missiles rapidly closed the distance. Come on, he trailed, as he watched the flare from the hatch launching away, and the rocket stabilizers from the pilot's ejection seat. Just before the missiles hit, one exploded in the air, trailing fire before the air was filled with sympathetic detonations, creating a momentary smokescreen. Fuck yeah, he shouted, as he saw the other ship shifting to fly at him. Oh, fuck. He angled his nose up at the other craft, seeing the projected field of fire, and grinned. He'd gotten his air-to-air kills with missiles before, but this would be the talk of the Academy for months. He can now identify the enemy fighter as an experimental TFX-04 Arcane, equipped with the most modern anti-lock panels. That's why she used unguided missiles, she couldn't get a lock, he thought, as he rested his finger gingerly on the trigger. Just another 500 meters. Come on, big bitch. Right as the ship came into a range where she would have zero possibility of dodging, he opened up with his gun and preemptively dumped flares, screaming wordlessly as his ship rattled and slowed to a near standstill in the air, as the inertial backlash dumped speed faster than any foils could. The missiles from her ship sped by, intent on going after his flares, with some missing him by inches as his rotary cannon rounds impacted her ship, tearing off her right wing, her cockpit nose, and finally detonating the missile compartment on her left wing. Fucking beautiful! Beautiful, man! Shouted Dresh over a helmet radio, as he steadily worked to accelerate his ship back to a reasonable velocity, finally pulling out of a small nosedive as he began to look for her beacon on the ground. Flying low and slow, he found it, and began to do a quick loop around her position as he watched her unstrap from her seat, stand up, and wave a hand to him. Get back to the fight, Neki, she chuckled over the radio. Commander already has a shuttle headed my way. Looks like we're grabbing those red grains after all tonight. Happy hunting. His ship chirped excitedly as a new set of targets were uploaded by spotters on the ground. I know, girl. I like her too, he said, gently slapping the dash of his ship as he banked back towards the fight. What was that? Dresh asked excitedly. Looking down and to the left, he found that he'd accidentally left his voice line open. Open directly to Dresh. Fuck,